Hey everybody, it's Courtney Twiss and Jeff Sutherland, Broker Rehab. We promise y'all we bring on winners, and we have another winner today, Russ Laggan. He is our Vice President of Training, and he's also a growth specialist at eXp Realty. Russ, welcome.
Welcome, welcome. Thanks for the invite. Always appreciate it. I'm always flattered that people want to hear me say anything.
Absolutely. You know, Russ, we thought about you because we started this channel because we wanted to help independent brokers learn more about how to handle their business and also sometimes share the opportunity we have. And I know you spent the last 16 years talking to independent brokers. So tell us, I mean, like, what's the life cycle of an independent broker look like? And I'm sure you have some good stories of how you've helped many over the years.
Yeah, you know, that's a loaded question with a really loaded answer. When I mean loaded question, you probably should be drinking. Okay. So so with that said, I mean, yeah, I mean, when you're talking about working with brokerages, the first brokerage I got brand new, like it's like page one of my book. It's like there I was, newly minted broker of a real estate office. I had no idea what I was doing, right? So I inherited 27 agents, and only 11 of them had made more than $1 by June. Ooh. And I'm like, what the heck is this all like? And they're like, no, that's normal. Like 50% of agents don't do anything. And I'm like, what? Like, then why are you hiring them? Like, why are we bringing them in? So, like, I started right off asking all the stupid questions, right? And they're like, that's a stupid question. That's the way it always, I'm like, really? So it took an office from losing a bunch of money to making a bunch of money. And then they asked me to merge that with another one where the broker had basically given away the company dollar. They were at like 9% company dollar. And for a traditional brokerage, if you're not at 22, you're not break even. The ones that are super lean, you got to be 20% company dollar to break even. So, you know, taking a company, mine was 28, theirs was 9. Our blended average was 18, 19, right? And when you put them both together, it was actually right at the edge of really making money. So I ended that in 2012 with 70 agents with 11 per person productivity. Almost every single one of them had sales. So like my brain is wired completely different. It's like if you're going to bring somebody on, you're responsible for making them successful. And by the way, most brokers get into the brokerage business because they want to teach, train, coach, love agents to success, right? So then the rub becomes the more people they get, the less they get to do the things they love, and the more they're doing things that they don't love. And then they find out that I get my office to 20 or so. Well, I need some help because I can't manage this many people. And they get some help. Now they need 20 more just to get back to even again. And then they have to get another person and they go to 60 and they're back to even again. So you've got this whole death cycle that a lot of brokers never realize they're getting into, and they just get disenfranchised. So getting people going in the right direction and getting into this role for the right reason, getting people back into doing what they love, that's really what I've focused on over the last, 16 years for the most part.
So why does it take brokers so long to make changes? And if they're in this endless cycle of death, how come they hold on to that for so long? What is it that keeps them from making a change?
Well, there's a couple of things. I mean, pride is one, and even those of us that have lower level of pride, or not as prominent level of pride or prominent level of ego, um, it's just freaking hard to say, hey, this isn't working the way I expected it to work. This isn't doing what I thought it was going to do. So they get into it and they're like, I get to teach and train and coach and love people, and they do that. And then in order for them to be able to put money in their pocket, which they don't realize, by the way, nobody said, by the way, if you do this great, you'll break even. If you do this amazingly, you'll make 2 or 3%. If you're in world class, you're at 5% profitable. So when we look at P&L after P&L after P&L of office after office after office after office, we've got a bunch of things in common. The amount of time, energy, and effort it takes to run a business is astronomical. The tools that you need to be able to have a basic level of service so you don't have complete crap is astronomical. And then you have to have the tech, and you have to have the forms, and you have to have the programs, and you have to have the website, and you have to have the so now, like, what do you spend your time doing? But oh, by the way, most of these people that start their own brokerage have never been taught how to recruit. So what happens is you see these brokers, like if you show me a brokerage right now that's under 40 agents, they're losing their butt. Almost guaranteed they're losing their butt. And some of the owners will sit with me and they'll be like, well, Russ, no, I'm doing okay. I'm like, okay, cool. How many houses did you sell last year? 24. Why did you sell 24? If you were making $500,000 off of these guys, you wouldn't be out selling houses. The reason you're selling houses is because you have to sell houses. And listen, man, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you got to pay your bills. But for most of these broker owners, they get into the game and they think they can build a better widget and they think they could do better and they think their people are loyal and they think their team is loyal, when in fact, the agents keep strong arming and strong arming and strong arming for more company talent. And in order to keep people, they leverage and leverage and leverage and leverage to the point where they're not making any dollars and they have to go back out and sell houses. Hey, back 15, 18 years ago, the recipe for a Remax office, and I'm not picking anybody, it's just actual numbers. We sit down with them, say, okay, so what is it? It's $20,000 to $22,000 per month net on for a very simple setup Remax style office. And then the guy says to me, well, Russ, so the first thing you do is like, you got to get to 20 as fast as you can, because when you get to 20 agents paying the 1/20th of a bill, you're break even. So you take all your bills, you divide it up amongst 20 people. So you got to get somewhere in the 1,200 to 1,500 per person to be able to break even. Once you get to 20, you break even. Like, okay, cool. So that means I got to sell houses the whole time to get to break even. And then I still have to sell houses after I'm break even, because I'm like, I don't want to make $20,000 a year. So for me to make 200, I have to be break even with 20 people and I have to sell, So you kind of get into this, like, this doesn't make sense. Where do I win on this? And then I'm frustrated and aggravated, and I have to focus on running the back end of the business. And the more people I get, the less I get to do what I love.
Mm-hmm. As a previous independent broker, we understand what you're talking about.
Are you guys having experience with PTSD right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, okay, so why did we do it in the first place? I love to teach, train, coach, love agents, right? And if I get enough agents, I can have the freedom to do that more. I don't have to go out and do the house sale part. I can support other people, make a little bit off each one of them, and in the end, I'll make more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the reality of it, right?
Yeah.
So when I get these broker owners and I get these, and by the way, this is no different than a team. Like, I know we're podcasts, but I'm gonna draw you something. You've seen the curve of the five stages of a career that I've drawn a couple of times. The first stage in a career is like, I just need to make money, right? Like, I just need to make, Russ, I just want to make $100K a year, right? And that's your typical agent, right? The broker's like, I want to get this thing even. I want to make $200,000 a year running the broker. So what happens is every agent starts at 0, right? You got zero experience and $0 doing it, right? Every owner starts at 0 experience owning and $0 doing it, right? So their first set of the curve is, I just need to get to a number. I need to get to that break even number, please, right? Just get me to break even. And when they're break even, they're like high fiving themselves, like, yeah, we're winning, right? And then the second thing is, once they get to break even point, then they move the ball. They're like, okay, well, now I want to generate enough money where I don't have to sell houses too. And what happens is they get up into this point where they're making a certain amount of dollars. And then the next step and the next phase in their career is like, I want to balance my time. I want to work every evening or work every weekend. And the problem is, what happens is, most people, when they get into this spot where they're doing well on the money and they're doing well on the time, and they're like, I'm going to add somebody to my team. And what ends up happening? Their curve goes like this, right? The broker gets into the point and they're like, I'm doing pretty good. And then they add some people and they end up spending a shit ton more time and they're actually making less dollars, right? So I get these guys here and they're like, well, this isn't working. And they don't really understand why, and it's hard to admit. I get these people here and I said, if you slam this into a brick wall, light it on fire and walk away, you'll make more money and work way less hours. And be more freedom, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my God, Russ. You're like, no, I would never do that. I should do that. But I could never do that. Like, there's people get to a point where they realize that the life they built isn't actually getting them where they want to go at some point.
Mm-hmm.
For some of it's a number, for some of it's a time, for some of them, it's like, the more people I get, there's two things. There's a list of stuff I like to do, and there's a list of stuff that I don't like to do, right? So when I sit down and talk to a broker, I'm like, tell me what you love to do. And they tell me what? All the things we already talked about. I like to teach, train, coach. I love agents to success. I love mentoring people. I love helping people live the life of their dreams, build the business of their dream. Right? Okay, cool. So here's the deal. So then they tell me this whole list of stuff, right? I said, what you didn't tell me, and almost never, like maybe once ever, has anybody ever said that they like this list. So here's the other list, right? So you didn't mention compliance, you didn't mention bookkeeping, you didn't mention accounting, you didn't mention dealing with paperwork, you didn't mention dealing with files, you didn't mention dealing with tech, dealing with E&O insurance, dealing with the MLS, dealing with the boards, dealing with the state, dealing with attorneys, dealing with complaints, right? You didn't mention any of that.
No.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, somebody's, oh, I could do that. I'm like, I'm not saying you can't do it. Listen, I can do all this stuff. I've done all this stuff. I just don't wake up in the morning like, I can't wait to fight with a compliant. I can't wait to dedicate half of my day to double checking files to make sure people didn't miss things. Like, by the way, you should probably put a sales price on the contract, right? Okay. Nobody loves that. And like very few people love that stuff that start their own brokerage. The entrepreneurial spirit is a teach, train, coach, love, grow, freedom, right?
Mhm.
And what happens is the more people I get, the more time I spend on that don't like list. By the time I get to 20, I'm spending 50 or 60% of my time on that don't like list. God forbid I get to 30 or 40. Now I'm spending 75, 80% of my time on the don't like list. And then you wonder why the brokerage stalled out. The brokerage stalled out is because there's nobody doing the teaching, training, coaching, loving, supporting, growing. Oh God, by the way, recruiting. If you don't love recruiting, you shouldn't be starting a brokerage. If you're not good at recruiting and have a track record of doing it well, you probably shouldn't start a brokerage. And what happens is that people are, well, that's why you see the people at like 8, 9, 10 agents. They kind of got some people that accidentally started following them. It's like mama duck's walking down the road and there's some baby ducks just start following it accidentally. And she's looking back and she's like, where the heck did these things come from? And I gotta feed them too, right? So you get those smaller brokerage and they're like, I want to stay small. I don't know anybody at all that ever said, I can't wait to build a brokerage with 6 people. None of them. You have an agent that I can't wait to make $20,000 a year. Never, right? So the set up is set up to fail.
So what do we do about it?
Right. Well, the most important thing is like, I'll pull a page out of EXP. I'll pull a page out of EXP, and this is what I typically will do with people. They have to get to a point where they're so sick and tired that they're willing to have a conversation. Like, this just sucks. It's not what I thought it was. And the hard part is they got to spend every day pretend like everything's great. I've got my new shiny car and I keep, and I got my fine, look at my new vest. And like, they got to pretend like everything's fine. If you ask them and their ages, like, he's fine. Like, do you realize he lost $10,000 last month? What? Like, they're baffled by the fact that their company's losing money. I thought they were fine. Right. And then the agent goes in and leverages for a 95-5 split because they did 10 sales last year. Right. Okay. So here's the thing. The real estate brokerage, you're under your own umbrella. And this is the simplest way to explain this. You're under your own umbrella, whether you have a brand name or you're an independent brokerage. You're either under a franchise umbrella or you're under your own umbrella as an independent brokerage, right? And this person right here gets to do some of the stuff that they love, and they have to do all the things that they typically don't love, right? So this guy has to do both sides of that. So the shift is saying, okay, when you stop looking at brokerages as under an umbrella and you start looking at like EXP as a platform, that's why it was different. It was a platform. You're not under the EXP umbrella. You're on the EXP platform. So what happens is EXP takes 90% of that back end BS that most people don't love. And then you get to stand up here on this platform and you get to spend 90% of the time doing the things that you do love.
Mm-hmm.
This
Like
guy right
podcasts, like doing podcasts. No.
exactly, right? So instead of doing all the right thing, so do you have to double check files for your people? Nope. See, what happens is this person right here, the more people they get, the more bars they add to their cage that they built for themselves.
Mhm.
This person, you get more people, you add more liability, more responsibility,
More capital investment.
more all of it, right? This one right here, the more you get, the less freedom you get, and the more cost and the more liability responsibility. This person over here, the more people they get, the more freedom they get. So this guy here could spend their time teaching, training, coaching, loving real estate agents. This guy over here, instead of thinking, if I got to 50 agents, this guy here's like, if I got to 50 agents, that would be amazing. If I got to 100, that would be unheard of, right? The problem is they get to 20 and then they add a person, then they get to 40 and then they add a person, get to 60, add a person, to get to 80, add a person, get to 90. And then they start having some economies of scale, but they're basically break even all the way up to 100. At 100, when you got 3, 4, 5 of the correct people, support people, that way you can start having some of the economies of scale and get back to the full throttle building. And unfortunately, most people never get there.
This,
They freak out velocity.
yeah, Russ, this rings home for me so well because when I started my brokerage, it was 2009 in Phoenix, Arizona. Okay, it was like one of the worst possible markets. And I started a company with a flat fee. So the company dollar percentage was really low. We were charging like $4.95. And of course, people were coming over, right? And I had a partner who was the broker. She handled the compliance, I handled the growth, and we grew quickly to 250 agents. And when I hit 250 agents, that's when my sick and tired hit me because the budget just kept getting bigger, the revenue was bigger, but yet I looked at our take home pay and I was like, this is absolutely exhausting for the amount of money that we're bringing home, plus all the other things. And I got away from my joy, which was helping agents. That's when I knew I needed a change. And that's when I started to have the conversation with other companies.
Yeah, so the difference really is the things that this guy wants in his business, you can do that over here. And the reason they don't want to be under the EXP umbrella is they think they're under an EXP umbrella when in fact they're actually on the EXP platform. We want you to have your own look, your own vibe, your own tribe. You want to have your own colors and your own logo. Yeah, you got to put the little EXP thing next to it. Big freaking whoop, right? This guy now gets to spend the majority of time doing the things he wants. This guy here, instead of thinking 50, should be thinking, I could have 500 people. So you really want to make a difference? Well, what if you had 500 people? Because the more people you get, you don't add any more liability. And by the way, you work most of them in groups anyway, so you don't add that much more time. If I do a Zoom for my team, whether 5 people show up or 500 people show up, it's the same hour of me doing a Zoom with my group, with my organization, right? So instead of thinking like I'm building my own thing, you're still building your own thing. You're building your own thing with all the ups and almost none of the downs, right? So there's 3 reasons why somebody's going to make a move. There's 3 reasons why a big team leader or a brokerage is going to make a move. Do you know what those are?
Mm.
1,
Freedom.
I'm just
Oh,
sick of
okay.
this shit. Done.
I was feeling the pain. Yeah.
I'm just like, so I'll ask the question. It's like, if I could give you $3 million right now, what would you do? You're like, I would cash that check and I would go straight to the beach and I've never talked to another human being and I drink margaritas until I pass out, right? Like that's a first that just is done. Okay. The second type of person is the type of person that's saying, well, Russ, this isn't really getting me where I want to go. I really want to level up, but I'm kind of stuck, right? I've been at 20 agents. I've been as high as 40. And what happens typically, they'll be like, I was at 43 years ago. Now I'm back down to 18, right? They got that little run up when things are good. And then as soon as things start tightening back up, now they're back at 18, which means they're losing money every month. Okay. So like, I want to level up. I want to take this to the next level, but I keep getting stuck and I keep feeling like I'm bouncing my head off the ceiling. So can you help me take this to the next level? Okay. That one, I love that one, right? We're great at that, right? And then the third one is shift. They're like, I want to keep doing this, but I don't want to do it like that. I want to keep doing this, but I'd love to do it without the liability. I'd love to do this, but I don't want to do it without the responsibility. I'd love to do this, but there's no way I'm going to get to 100 doing what I'm doing now because I just run out of freaking hours every day. I run out of weeks every month. I run out of months every year. 4 years have gone by and I'm banging my head on the same stuff. So like, if I could change what I'm doing and become that guy where I have more freedom, I have more control, I have way less overhead, I have way less responsibility and liability, I can be the best me with way less pressure, and I actually have some freedom of time again to do the stuff I love. That's great. So when I find somebody who wants to level up and shift, hell yeah, let's go. Right? When I find somebody that wants out, I typically have very little interest in that. Some people would say, well, Russ, if they want out, I'll pick up their team. Yeah, but that's not the way it really works, right? Because think of it as like the Pied Piper. The Pied Piper's playing as a little flute, and the rats are following him. And like everybody's following their own piper with their own, like, I like that tune. And they're like, oh, I'm going to go follow that, right? And then you hand that over to somebody else, and those rats, they automatically just start looking for another piper. They're not like, here's the piper we handed you. And they're like, nah, I'm going to start looking around. and then they get cherry picked all over the place. So you end up with basically a carcass with just bones left when you're doing that. So you really want people that are saying, I want to keep doing this. I want to level up. I want to shift, or I'm willing to put 2 or 3 years in and then I'm done. 'Cause I don't want to do this forever. So 2 or 3 years and I'm done. Most people are great because we can bring them in. I can align them with an organization. The organization can now help support this person. So this person's not having to do all the value. And this person now says, oh, well, like, I don't have to work 12 hours every day to make this thing fly. Yeah, I can still go out and sell 15, 20 houses, but then I don't have another 8 hours of work on top of that. Those people go, no, this is what I want.
And it also goes beyond our self-preservation and just looking out for ourselves. We have to look out for our people, right? And when you really look and do a deep dive on the platform, on the ecosystem of EXP, we can give people a lot more opportunity than they ever would have in the environment of an independent broker. Let's face it, that's just truth.
Well, Jeff, I shouldn't tell this story because when I tell this story, it gives people hope. Okay. I want to tell people, I'm pretty good, but I'm freaking damn lucky. Okay. So I bought 50% of a brokerage in 2014. The brokerage was here, break even, right? The owners sold some houses to pay the extra bills, but it was basically break even. 105 or so agents. So I buy 50% of it, and guess how much I paid for it? Very little because it was break even, right? Best time to buy a business like that is when it's break even. Because if you make one more dollar, it's dollars in the positive, right? So I'm like, this can't fail, right? I bought it January 2014. I cut a check for $11,000 in February to cover the loss in January. Like, damn, I should have waited till April. I should have waited until May or June, let him take that loss until, okay. So we took that office from 105 agents to 55 agents in 15 months. You're like, wait a minute, Russ, you're going the wrong way. I was going the right way because I had 55 of the right people versus 105 of the wrong people. So I took the right people and kept them, and I took the right people and we led them. I took the right people and got them on the path to moving the ball forward. And then we attracted more of the right people, and the people that didn't want to do the work and were just showing up because it was a good deal, they all started going into the woodwork. They're scattering. Like you flip the lights on, poof, they're gone. Okay. So we lost all the people we needed to lose. We ended up with 10xing the EBITDA in 15 months. And then I sold the company for almost 10 times what I paid for it. So you go, well, gee, Russ, I want to do that. Okay. Couple things. Very lucky in that I happened to get the thing at the right place at the right time. Very lucky in that the business partner here was the back end guy. I was able to just do the front part. We handled the back end and the tech and the KPIs and the spreadsheets and the income statements and dealing with the bookkeepers and all that don't like stuff. We handled all that. I handled the people stuff. Where together we made an amazing partnership. And the brokerage is super strong, right? At that point, like a lot of people will say, well, Russ, I'm just going to sell my brokerage. Okay, cool. I had a guy do this 2 weeks ago. I was like, cool. Well, how much do you want for your brokerage? He says, I want $1 million. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't need to get into details, but what was your EBITDA last year? What's that?
I say he's probably
Houston, we have a problem. Okay. So it's like, what was your profit last year? And he's like, well, I don't think that's relevant. I've got 75 people. I'm like, wait a minute. If you got 75 people and you're losing $1,000 a person, you lost $75,000 last year. Do you think anybody's going to pay you $1 for the privilege of losing 75,000? Makes zero sense. And by the way, if I buy you and you leave, those people like you, most of them are going to leave also. So now I bought 75 people for $1 million to get how much back? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So gone are the days when people will actually buy a brokerage. It's very, very rare to see somebody actually purchase a brokerage. The only way you'll do that is if the person's going to stay around. So what the brokerages now start doing, and this is shocking to owners when I tell them this, you'll get an offer. They'll offer you $750,000, but here's how it goes. It's 30% of company dollar year one, 20% of company dollar year two, 10% of company dollar year three, and you got to stay on and work the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do some fuzzy math, okay? 30 plus 20 plus 10 is 60%. If you run this for 1 year, slam it into a brick wall, light it on fire, and walk away, you're 40% ahead, and you just saved 2 years of your life.
Wow.
What ends up happening is they transition to the new company and the new brand, and then some of the agents trickle off and they go do their own thing, and they leverage that as an opportunity to better themselves with another brokerage and strong arm another brokerage into a better deal. So you lose people right out of the gate, and then the company dollar numbers are basically nothing. So at the 6-month mark, you're like, where's my check? And they're like, well, it didn't make you any money. We didn't make any money, so you're not going to get any money. I was like, I thought I was going to get $500,000, $750,000. Like, you're only getting money if we make money. And you lost your people. Like, your job was to keep those people on. And then they realize this doesn't make sense. 6-month mark, they disappear. It turns into a ghost town, they just disappear. Why not? Just at that point, they walk away with nothing, right? In this scenario, like, you can roll your people over here. You're still gonna have to do that transition. You still have to move your people. Listen, man, your people like you enough that they stay there. They're there now. Move over here. You're gonna keep the ones you want to keep. It's like, well, boss, what if I lose people? Lose the right ones. Are your people loyal to you? Yes. Do they love you? Yes. Then the people that are loyal and love you are actually going to move. The people that aren't actually loyal and don't actually love you are going to go do their own thing and pad their own pockets and leverage their better deal for themselves. So are they really loyal? Do they really love you? No, they love the deal you gave them. And unfortunately, that's the hardest part. Finding out our people aren't what we thought they were. Brutal. So now what?
Well, now it's like a reset, because now you can grow an organization of like-minded agents that want to grow and that are more similar to you, and it's not as weighty as when you're an independent broker. I feel like when you're just
Yeah.
you're sponsoring or you're helping your organization, is different than when you're managing a team or running an independent brokerage.
Yeah, I mean, again, it gets down to the question is like, if anybody's watching this right now, that's saying, hey, I own my own thing. This is an interesting conversation. Holy crap, that hit a couple buttons. Look, I want you to do the exercise right now. Write down a list of the things you love, and write down a list of the things that you don't love. And then let's be clear: how much time are you spending on the things that you're doing that you do love? How much time are you spending on the things that you don't love? And how many dollars are you making? Right? Because this guy right here. Listen, I don't know a single broker owner that's like, my goal is to make $100,000 a year. That was them as an agent, right? So here's their trajectory. You can see this a lot in business. Here's the trajectory. A real estate agent starts doing good, right? And they get to that 100, and then they're like, oh, I should have gone for 2. And they hit 2, and they're like, I should have gone for 3. They hit 3, and they're like, oh, I want to make $500,000 and not work. Oh, wait a minute, that was me, right? So the team lead gets that, and they're like, okay, well, I don't want to do all these hours, and I don't want to lose all this business, and I want to throw all this stuff. So like, what I need to do is since I'm a successful agent, I need to build a team. And then they go and get a couple of agents to work with them. And they're like, wrong. Absolutely wrong thing you could do. First thing you need to do is get a good administrative/transaction, point A to point B person, right? Because if I get one of those, they could take 15 or 20 hours a week off my workload per week, which means I can sell another 1 or 2 houses. If I could sell 2 houses more a month, that's 24 in a year at an average of $10,000. It's $240,000 more in my pocket, working the same amount of hours. Oh yeah, she cost me 60. So I'm net $180,000 ahead. That's the first smart move you make, right? And then if I've got extra buyer stuff that I'm not taking, or I've got people that came to open house and I'm not doing the file, somebody needs to work with those buyers long term. Like, now I can add a single agent or 2 or 3 agents I can refer this stuff to. And the one that knocks it out of the park, that's the person I put on my team. But that's not the way most people build them, right? Most people build up the team, and then what happens is the team leaders now busting their butt, and they're doing they got a bunch of baby birds in the nest sitting there like this, like, feed me. Like,
Feed me.
more worms, right? Like, and no matter how many worms you throw in there, like, more worms, right? I want bigger, fatter, juicier worms. These worms are sucky. They're little skinny worms. I want the big fat ones only. They start getting picky on their worms, right? That's the welcome to the life of a team lead, right? So then they're like, and the team leads that finally figure out a way to corral that and keep that in check and not blow their brains out, then they're like, well, now that I've got 14 or 15 people on my team, I should start my own brokerage, right? And those are the people that start their own brokerage typically. And then they start their own brokerage, and what they find is now they have a building, right? And now they have to get an administrative person / support person, and now they have to have the accountant and the bookkeeper, and they have to have the marketing, and they have to have the signs, and they have to have the sign on the building, and they have to have the electric on, and they have to have the copy machine still. I don't know why, but they do still have copy machines, right? And then, all of that other stuff. So they add 10, 12, 14, $15,000 a month in just additional costs to do the same thing. So if they don't make a jump of 6, 7, 10 agents fast, they're losing 10 grand a month. Boom.
Mhm.
Welcome to ownership.
Yeah. And can we switch gears for a minute? I want to talk about training, okay? The company just gave you the position of vice president of training, which we're all excited about, Russ. We really are. So you're sitting there as an indie broker and you're like, okay, I got to be the expert at AI, video, social media, contracts. The list goes on and on and on. You have to know so much about so many things, right? So how could the training ecosystem of a company like EXP help a indie broker see the light?
Yeah. So, I mean, here's the fun part is, so a VP of training. So picture me on a bicycle with really big training wheels. Because I don't follow over, right? Okay. So back to this guy, right? This guy has to know everything. That's your resource, right? Anytime that guy doesn't have a skill set, like say, for example, me, I'm not the AI guy. If I was in the market now as a broker, I'd be in trouble because this guy, me, I don't have the chops for the AI stuff. By the way, most of these guys, these entrepreneur people that love, teach, train, coach people, right? They're not typically the most tech savvy people. Some of them are okay at it, but that's not like I wake up in the morning. I can't wait to use my computer. If I get up, well, let me back up. On a Saturday, I consider it a failure if I touch my computer at all, right? I do not want to touch a computer on a weekend at all. It's not like I don't wake up and like, oh, I can't wait to go and do. No, like wood shop, yes. You give me a piece of wood and my table saw, and my bandsaw, and my drill and my shape, like I'm in heaven, right? Computer, no such thing, right? So this guy right here doesn't have those chops. So what does his agents do to go see what's cool on AI?
Have to
They
let
go
go.
to Jeff's event, they go to Courtney's event. Well, Courtney's awesome. Like, she's amazing. Like, so my people are over at your place getting value added because I can't. Well, what happens when you're the one that adds value on AI? You're the one that adds value on tech. You're the one that does, by the way, someone in your group taught on social media. By the way, EXP University is putting out a brand new, like, open house 2.0 and interviewed like 7 of the top people in the country that are killing it with open houses. And they're going like, here's my exact recipe on how I do it. So you can choose one of 7 recipes on how to do an open house that actually works and works the way you want to work, right? For some of them, it's like high intensive. On some of them are like, I do all this stuff, and if I don't even do the open house, it's still a success. Some people are like, I do all this other stuff, so the open house is amazing. We have amazing. There's a bunch of different ways to skin that cat. Well, we've got 7 of the best from the country with good conversion and good long-term thought. We've got 7 of them. Like, we know every bit of their playbook. This guy, like, well, listen, Ellen in my office, she did a good job on the open house the other day. She got a buyer. Like, how about if you build your whole business with it, right? With intention, right? So my ability to teach and train is limited by what I can teach and train. And then what ends up happening is me, like, there's certain things I can't teach on. So I called Tammy. I'm like, hey, Tammy, could you teach on that AI thing again? And then Tammy's like, yeah, Ross, yeah, I appreciate it. And she does it out of the goodness of her heart, but she feels used. Because now you got 40 agents in my office going to Tammy, driving her batshit crazy over details on AI. And she's like, I'll do the hour course, but I don't have time for the got a minute. Can you help me with this and this and this and this and this? And then she ends up becoming free labor. Your top agents in your office end up feeling used.
Yeah.
Right? So what can I train on? So when you start thinking, if you had 83,000 agents and you could say, okay, out of these 83,000, who's the best at open houses? Well, let's take these 7, let's dig into the recipes, right? By the way, we've got that with AI. We've got probably 10 or 12 really great AI people. Really, a dozen really great AI, like next level, going on stages, not inside our brokerage, outside of our, there's brokerages that aren't our brokerage that are paying some of these people to come to their brokerage and not say our company name, but on their stage to show them how to do AI, right? This right here is paying somebody to do that or leveraging somebody within their office. So you have massive amount of limitations. But like, I'm pretty good, right? I closed 143 sales my best year with 1 full-time and one part-time person. highly efficient, highly structured, high levels of systems to be able to do that without pulling all your hair out, right? And I still don't know how to do, like, I'm not the best guy to teach you open houses. Now, I can teach you what the other people did, and I'm going to, by the way, as part of my role is I'm going to be I can't wait to facilitate that program because it's not something I know a ton about. So I'm like, I'm going to take the best and I'm going to teach you right out of the best, right? We've got a sphere of influence system that is, we call it from our icon master class. There's a sphere of influence system, which I love sphere of influence because I never paid for a lead ever, by the way. So we got a sphere of influence system. It's a couple of hours on exactly how to build out a sphere of influence business that converts.
Love it.
That baller stuff, right? So like how many of those do you want? 50 hours a week of stuff at your fingertips. Some of it live, some of it recorded. How much stuff would you like to do, Jeff?
I
Never keep up with that as an independent broker.
Yeah.
I train twice a week, every week as an independent broker. 2 times a week. Well, Mari's like, well, Russ, I've got 3 girls under the age of 11. I can't show up at a 3 o'clock training. I've got kids coming home from school. I can't show up at 10 a.m. because I've got my youngest one is in kindergarten in the afternoon, which means I got her in the morning. So she'd bring Shrimpy to the office. Shrimpy knew more about real estate than half the real estate agents. She was 5. I don't even remember her name. I just called her Shrimpy because she was.
Courtney, is this like the best time ever? I mean, I'm learning so much listening to Russ right now.
I know I have so many notes I'm taking myself.
Yeah. So
Always.
here's the thing. So the next progression that you guys didn't ask. So I'll ask you. How do I communicate this and not alienate everybody around me?
Yeah.
So here's what I want you to start thinking. If you got into the real estate business and got into owning a brokerage and it's not serving you the way you thought it would serve you, we should talk. If you got into owning a brokerage because you wanted to build something that gave back to the community and gave back to the world and put you in a spot where your family was secure also, and it's not working out the way you wanted to, we should talk. If you got into owning a brokerage because you wanted to get a little piece from everybody so you could have that ultimate level of freedom, you could have something you're proud of and something that you could leave potentially to your family in the future, and that's not the way it's going, that's not the way it went, that's not the reality of what you're seeing, we should probably talk. If you still want to take this to the next level, or you're just like, I don't want to do it like this anymore. I want to do this, but I don't want to do it like this anymore. We should talk. Did you know there's a couple of different things you can do where you can still keep your tribe, you can still keep your people, you can still keep your little group of favorite people. You can keep them all together. You can still help them take their business to the next level, but you don't have to lose your butt in the process. You don't have to have all the liability and all the responsibility. If the liability and responsibility is basically setting you up where you feel like, Russ, if I got 10 more people, I feel like I got 10 more bars in my cage. If that's the way you feel, we can solve for that. There's a solution for that. Because you got this because you wanted to build something. You got this because you wanted to be the person that was in charge of the person that made a difference in other people's lives. If you want to get back to that, we've got a method to do that. Let's get you back on the path to doing what you love. If you're not doing what you love anymore, we need to talk. You see the feel behind that? It's a completely different talk track. If you, well, hey, man, hey, Courtney, how's your real estate brokerage doing? Did you guys make money last year? And Courtney's like, hold on a second, let me give you something. Oh my God. She's like, what do you think the answer is going to be to that? The answer is going to be, here's my middle finger. Like, I'm never going to admit to you I suck. I'm never going to admit to you I'm failing. I'm not going to admit to you this isn't working the way I want. I'm not going to admit to you that this is not what I thought it was. I can't, and oh yeah, by the way, I can't figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to let my guard down and show you that I'm completely lost and going broke. How many people go out there and it's like, I'm losing my ass running this business. Please, somebody help me. You can't do that because as soon as your people smell one whiff of fear, poof, they're gone. So you've got to pretend everything's fine. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
I watch people that are going bankrupt, immediately going bankrupt. We get people to us like the boat already sank, like Titanic on the bottom, carnage everywhere, just carcasses that have been picked, nothing but bones left. And they're like, Russ, I think it's time we think about trying to fix this boat. Like that boat freaking sunk 6 years ago. Like those people are long gone. The crabs have ate the meat off of them. There's nothing left. Like, You're not raising the Titanic. Like, so now you just got to say cut and run. Let's save what's left. Let's save you.
This is so good, Russ, man. We're so thankful for you. Courtney and I have been in all these situations you've described, and we do care about your welfare. You should talk to us. And if you stay where you're at, you want to stay in that situation, go ahead and stay there. We'll help you no matter what. But we just wanted to bring in one of the best in the world. Courtney, wouldn't you say Russ is literally one of the best in the world? And it's all about who you surround yourself with in business. And we're lucky to have Russ in our inner circle. I mean, Courtney, what are your thoughts on all this?
Oh, yeah. I mean, every time I hear Russ, I learn something new. And actually, Don Yoakum was the first one I was introduced to with EXP, and he introduced me to Russ and some of the other growth team at that time. And everything he's saying today, it's true. Whether you want to admit it or not, that's the reality of the industry that we're in right now as an independent broker. And there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is hope. It's been 2 years for me since I've moved over, and I'm growing an organization. I am so much happier. I have so much more freedom. I'm making money again. I see my kids. I'm going to my daughter's basketball game after this. And it's just, it can happen. There's hope. There's hope out there.
So there's a misnomer in some of what you just said. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Is it a train? Or is it the end of the tunnel? Right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. A lot of people are like, well, Russ, like, what do we do now? Like, first things first, if you're thinking about doing something, say nothing to everyone. Do not say boo to anyone. If you are in a real estate office and you're thinking about having a conversation about what your options are, do not do that in your real estate office. Because I found out, by the way, that Connie listened to every conversation I had because she could hear through the walls like they were made of paper. She told me that after she resigned. She's like, I can hear every word you said in every meeting. I'm like, sheesh, probably should have been a little more cautious on what I said, right? So with that being said, you do not want to have any conversation in your business or in your circle. You do not want to talk to your administrative people. You don't want to talk to your top agent, because we have that all the time. It's like, well, I'm talking to my top agent. My top agent's not satisfied. So I'm thinking about making as soon as you talk to one person, that cat starts to get out of that bag, and then the market finds out, because everybody likes to tell a secret, right? So you've got to tell absolutely 0 people until you're 100% certain exactly what you're doing in a timeline set up for transition. When your people find out, the next thing you should be saying is, and the good news is we can start transferring licenses now, right? So this guy right here, I need this guy to finally get to the point where, like, I'm going to have a confidential conversation. What do we do? The first conversation I want to have is like, just tell me a little bit about your business. What do you love to do? Sound familiar? What do you not love to do? Right? Sound familiar? Great. So if you are here now and you're doing boom, 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 and we can get you here getting doom, right? Do you want to have more conversation about that? Yeah. Because most people don't understand how EXP can solve for what they can't solve for over here. And they think maybe aligning with another franchise. That doesn't help. It just puts you in another spot, because you still have to do the front end, and you still have to do the back. You still have to have an accountant. You still have to have a bookkeeper. The franchise isn't going to do your compliance for you. They're not going to deal with the state. They're not going to deal with, they're not doing all those things that are time consuming and don't make you another dollar, right? So when you talk about, does EXP make sense? Do you understand that you can build that brokerage feel, that leader role, that thing to be proud of, then make a difference and not have all the stuff that holds this guy back? Do you understand that? And when they get it, they're like, you should see the look on their face, Jeff, Courtney. You should see the look on their face. They're like, oh my God, does that sound like what you want? And they're like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I want. That's what I was trying to do. I'm like, I know, I've been there. I got the teeth. Look, I got the teeth marks to prove it. Okay. So then once you're there, now the second conversation to be, okay, if you show me your production, I don't want to see your P&L. I don't want to see your income statement. I don't want to throw up. Okay. I don't want to see either one of those. I just need to see what your production is. What are your agents do? Gross commission income, volume, units. If you show me that, then I can show you exactly what this guy would put in their pocket. If your people come over here and do the exact same thing, I'll show you exactly what you're putting in your pocket. Because here's the other thing, guys. They can't imagine being over here and then having a split. How do I make money if these agents come over and they have the split and you collect all the money? How do I make dollars? A great question, right? Well, good news is right over here, you're making negative dollars. So if we got you here and you were even at 0, that's ahead. Yes.
Yeah.
If we get you, so if I get you over here and I show you how we do that, there's a couple of different ways you can do that. We'll show you what that numbers and the metrics look like, and we'll show you a bottom line here in a little orange block here. Shows you exactly what this guy gets if we do this over here. And it's nothing crazy, right? And by the way, my number one consideration, this guy's like, well, I don't want my agents to pay more dollars. I don't want this guy to have them do it either, right? If we can show you how to do that over here and have your agents have net basically the same dollars in their pocket, and sometimes and many times ahead more dollars. And by the way, we have 8 different lead generation things we can turn them loose with. And we have all the training they need to do. And by the way, we'll do a fast cap program for them and make all of your people go through a boot camp style where we've got to do the activities. If they're not doing that, you stop wasting your time on the people wasting your time. You're only going to save the people swimming towards the boat.
That's right.
It'll show you what those numbers look like, and it'll show you what that net dollar is. Listen, nothing's perfect. Things are going to happen. You're going to lose a person or 2 or 3 or 4 here. Sometimes we have people bring everybody over. Sometimes we have people that lose people. Most of the time, you're losing the right people. You want to lose the people holding you back. So let's talk about what that number looks like. And if that number makes sense, like, what are you going to say then? If this gets you back where you want to go and the numbers make sense, you tell me what you want to do next. And many times you're like, dude, I need to do this. They're like, Russ, you're the best closer ever. I'm like, I'm not the best closer. They close themselves. My job is to help them close them. I want them to say, dude, we need to do this. Okay, cool. So let's talk about the how. And then we have step-by-step and checklists, and we have assisting people that can help transition so that people can move over smoothly so the whole thing doesn't fall apart. You don't have to figure it out. We've got people that'll hold your hand all the way through. We have white glove concierge service, which I think is a stupid name, right? You ever seen anybody doing work that actually has a white glove? No, we should call it black glove service. These people are getting their hands dirty.
You know, Russ, we always have this thing. I love it. We have this thing called broker recharge, right, Courtney? And I don't even think we need it today. I think Russ has fully recharged us.
He has definitely recharged our batteries. We are rearing and ready to go.
Russ, we sure appreciate you. You're staying late tonight. You're in the Midwest. We're on the West Coast, and we appreciate you. And like Russ said, please reach out to us. He's our VP of training. Courtney and I are leaders in this organization. Lock arms with us. Let's just have a dialogue. Let's talk. That's how it all starts, right? So, Russ, we appreciate you.
You're welcome. Let me add one more thing, because there's somebody here that probably knows somebody that's in this spot, and it's not that they don't own it, but they know somebody that's in this spot. The way you phrase it is, if I can get you in a conversation with somebody that can talk through what some potential solutions are, so you can help get you back on the right path for you and get you back to loving life again, would you be open to that conversation? And if they say yes, go. And remember, guys, this is a human being business. These people, most of the time, they put their heart into it. They put their blood, sweat, tears, their finances, stress with their spouses, right? Stress with the kids, missing things that are important to them and their family. At the end of their life, they're going to be like, God, I'm glad I did that real estate brokerage. And be like, damn it, I missed I never saw a single kid's baseball game, right? Those are the things that you regret. So this is a human being business. So just remember, always lead with your heart and understand that humans come around. And the thing you're going to do is add value every single month. Always add value, add value, add value, add value, add value. And when they reach their hand out, you grab their hand and give it a pull, and you're more likely to win.
Thank you, Russ.
Thank you, Russ. Wow. Guys, thank you for showing up, Russ. Appreciate you. I don't have anything else to say, Courtney. You just blew it away.
No, appreciate it, Russ. Always. You're amazing.
You're quite welcome.